We're back in the seat today, and as promised a few videos ago, we're continuing with the Wrexham AFC transfer news. Today we're going to be looking at two players that could be making their way from European sides up to North Wales in the Championship for Wrexham Football Club, and we're just 2 weeks on from the end of the Championship season, and we've been rumoured with a whole host of names, and it's going to be one hell of a summer for Wrexham because we're going to see ins, we're going to see outs, and it's my job on the channel to cover every single transfer rumour and every single possibility of what could happen at the club. So before we get into today's video, that mark there is from football if you were wondering, but if you would like to see more Wrexham AFC content and keep up to date with transfer news, general news to do with the club, everything going into the 26-27 season, it's coming your way on the channel. This is the hub for everything, so if you would like to support the channel, it's free to subscribe, you're not obliged to, but if you would like to keep up to date with everything that's going on at the club, it's coming your way on the channel. Let's go for 400 likes on today's video as well, and if you would like to support the channel further, it'll be the first link in the description down below. Enough of the waffle, enough of the self-promotion, let's get talking first on the first target. So Wrexham are one of three Championship sides that are interested in signing former Leeds United central attacking midfielder Sam Greenwood. If we're looking at the other sides interested, which I think says a lot about Greenwood as a player and his possibilities going into the upcoming transfer window, Blackburn Rovers and Bristol City are the other two clubs interested in securing the services of the 24-year-old. Like I just said, Greenwood is a 24-year-old attacking midfielder who is versatile across the front line, as we've seen over the course of the past few seasons, with him being able to operate in wider roles, but predominantly we've seen him play in that central attacking midfield role recently in the Championship and in his spell over in Poland, which we'll get talking on in a minute. Now, we have seen Sam Greenwood have relatively successful spells on loan in the Championship at Middlesbrough and up in Lancashire for Preston North End, where he did total 18 goals and assists across 83 games in 2 seasons, which isn't a bad return. We've seen obviously he can keep fit over the course of the 2 seasons, playing a consistent role in every single game. 18 goals and assists for Middlesbrough and Preston. It's not set the world alight, but it's not a bad return on the other hand as well. But despite this, I think the really interesting thing with Greenwood is he probably had a lot of offers in the English Football League after those successful loan spells. He made the switch over to Poland for Pogoń Szczecin. I've probably butchered that name, where it's been a very weird spell over in Poland for him. Now, you'd think he would have produced some excellent numbers over there, given the fact that he had some decent enough numbers in a very solid league in the Championship, but he's just scored 3 goals and is already looking to move on from the team that are currently 10th in the Polish First Division. Now, like I said earlier, Greenwood operates best in that attacking midfield role, similar to what we see in this Wrexham setup from Josh Windass and Nathan Broadhead. He'll be the type of player that creates chances, who's that link-up player between midfield and attack, and have that creativity in the final third to create those chances and put it on a plate for the likes of Sam Smith, Kiefer Moore, etc. Now, if we are looking at Greenwood's stats in the 24-25 season for a Preston North End side who had a decent season, I think the one thing that we can gather from Greenwood from that campaign was his creativity. 46 chances created, 14 big chances created, 23 successful dribbles and 8 goals and assists. He's created those chances, but again, on the other hand, 8 goals and assists, is that looking too much into it, to the fact that he might not be as good of an option as what we do have in Josh Windass, who totaled 20 plus goals and assists, and Nathan Broadhead, who reached double digits for that. Now, I would love to know the ins and outs of Greenwood's move over to Poland, again, especially for a mid-table side as well, when, like I said, he probably had offers from other Championship sides and could have easily stayed in England and done a really good job. But I think the thing with Wrexham and possibly going in for Greenwood, and the one thing that a lot of fans probably will question on this front, is the ambition of Wrexham. For a side like Blackburn Rovers, this is a very logical signing. If they're going to lose their captain Todd Cantwell, then signing a player like Sam Greenwood for a club that is struggling at the bottom end of the table, I think that makes total sense for Rovers. However, if we are looking at Wrexham, we're a team that are going to be pushing for that playoff spot this year and go that one step further and possibly achieve that top 4 finish in the Championship. Is Sam Greenwood the type of player to come in and boost our chances of getting a better table finish than what we saw in the 25-26 season? I'll let you decide on that, and in my opinion, I think we could do a lot better. The fee is reported to be around £3.4 million to secure the services of the 24-year-old. In my opinion, I would like to see a strengthening in that area of the pitch, but could we get better value for money for that price? We're going to be talking next on Idrissa Touré. Now, it's a name that I'm sure a lot of you will be all too familiar with, after the antics in the January transfer window. It looks like Wrexham have gone back in the race to sign the German right wing back who currently plays his football over in Italy for Pisa in Serie A, although they have just recently been relegated to the second tier of Italian football after they won just 2 games all season, and it was a very disappointing season for them. But if we are looking at Touré, he was obviously a target of Phil Parkinson's late on in the January transfer window. Wrexham tabled a £6 million bid to secure his services, but the deal fell through and we didn't get that right wing back option that Phil Parkinson wanted to get in. Nothing came of it, and it looks like we've not given up in securing the German services just yet. Looking at Touré's career now, he did spend the past 5 seasons in Italy where he's totaled 153 appearances, all coming for Pisa across Serie B, and obviously most recently the one season that he did play for them in Serie A. He's played predominantly in that right wing role for Pisa over his course of his stay in Italy. Now if we are looking at that right wing back role for Wrexham this season, there's going to be a lot of questions as to whether we want to bring Issa Kabore back into the club or we'll go for another option. I think it's important to compare the two because as a wing back, Touré looks to be a more powerful option, one that's going to be a lot more aggressive than Kabore. Of course, opposed to Kabore is a very agile player, one that's based his game previously at Wrexham and other clubs off his pace and his attacking direct play down that right hand side. Now if we are looking at statistics from the season just gone, comparing Touré in Serie A and comparing Kabore in the Championship for Wrexham, I think it's really evident the contrast in style of play between these two. Chances created, Touré created 20, Kabore created 25. Big chances created, Touré 6, Kabore 10. Successful crosses, Touré 11, Kabore 29. So I do think there's enough evidence there to suggest that Kabore is a lot more of an attacking option down that right hand side. But if you are looking at Touré, he'll offer that solid side of his game down that right hand side, that good defensive side, which I don't think we really saw from Kabore at the back end of the Championship season. He looks like he'd be a better defensive option, but going forward it looks as if Kabore has the stats over Touré. But again, you can't really go off stats. We have to see them both play in the flesh. But what we have seen from Kabore last season, like I said, is something we haven't really seen from a wing back across the takeover of Ryan Reynolds or Rob McElhenney. He's just so direct, loves to get that cross into the box, whether it was a cross that would go straight out of play or right on Sam Smith or Kiefer Moore's head. Kabore was such an attacking minded player, and if we are going for that more defensive option, then I do think we would take a bit of a miss, because although he wasn't consistent enough, I think Kabore did offer that really good attacking threat for us. Now I think as well, looking on social media, other people's opinions, something that we've learned about Touré is that his pace isn't one of his strengths. Now a lot of you at home will be thinking, that is a big killer for us because Kabore was such a speedy player down that right hand side. So I think the question for Touré is, if he was to come to Wrexham, would he be able to adapt to the speed of the Championship? Obviously we've seen over in Serie A, it's an incredible standard of football over there, playing against some of the giants in world football of Juventus, Inter Milan, AC Milan. So although he's been in a side that's got relegated, 2 wins all season, 18 points, it is a question as to whether the speed difference between the Serie A and the Championship, would he be able to adapt to that completely different style of play over in England? Because obviously we've seen over the course of his career, he's only really played in Germany. We've seen him play in Italy, of course, where he's made a real name for himself. So I do think it would be interesting to see how he would adapt if he was to get into this Wrexham setup. Now I think if Wrexham are to go fully in for Touré in the upcoming weeks of the transfer window, I think something really interesting to note is obviously the fact that we've seen Pisa get relegated to Serie B, which would likely half the asking price. They were asking £6 million in January, and if I was looking at this from the agent's point of view, from the club's point of view, obviously getting relegated, they'll suffer a hit financially, but if they are looking to get some good prices and some good fees in for their players to bounce straight back up to the top tier, I would be very surprised if they didn't accept a bid in the region of around £3.25 to £3.5 million. I do think that would be enough to secure the German services. In my opinion, I would like to see us go in for a player that would mirror Kabore's style of play that we did see last season for us, but I just think it would be a bit of a big ask if we are looking at Touré to come into the side and to do the role that Kabore did do for us, because I think going forward he doesn't have that attacking side of his game. Yes, we saw a couple of goals that he scored here and there over his course over in Italy. I think he scored 13 goals, but if you're looking at the crossing side of the game, he is more of a defensive option and one that would probably have a better defensive contribution than an attacking one. But staying on Kabore, I don't know if I'm asking too much of Phil Parkinson in this transfer window, but I do think he has to get the right wing back into the side if we do want to go from here to here next season. Like I said, we want to see someone that's just as direct as Kabore but can produce similar attributes on more of a consistent basis. We want to see a better defensive player than Kabore, but we want him to be equally as good going forward, creating those chances, putting those crosses into the box, and that is why I do think Wrexham should go in for Terry Devlin. Going completely off topic, I do think Terry Devlin is the perfect fit for Wrexham. There's probably loads of options that he does have on his wish list, and it's just going to be a matter of time to see who we do bring into the club. That brings me on to the question, do you think Touré is the type of wing back that Wrexham are after in the upcoming transfer window? Would you like to see it happen, or would you consider going back in for Kabore, having seen the type of player that Touré is, and if that's the type of player that Phil Parkinson wants to come in and replace the young Burkina Faso spot? So like I said, all your thoughts are welcome in the comment section down below, and I have much pleasure in reading them. So capping off the video with a bit of non-transfer related news, but Captain Dom Hyam is heading off to the World Cup for Scotland after he was called up to the 26-man squad in Steve Clarke's side. Now, it's a massive achievement. It's huge for Wrexham because obviously we'll have Libby Kakachi going out with New Zealand and Dom Hyam going out with Scotland again. It's such a big occasion for the football club for Wrexham. Two players representing us on the biggest stage of the biggest sporting competition there is out there, so it's well deserved for the pair of them, and we wish them all the best of luck with their native countries. So that is it for today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like. Like I said, if you'd like to see more Wrexham AFC transfer content, general news is coming your way on the channel. Any support is massively appreciated, and until the next one, take care guys, up the Championship Reds.